the land of quiet rivers. In the days when the wind carried messages and the moon listened to the songs of men, there stood a quiet village by the river Eba. The people lived simply, breathing in rhythm with the water that gave them life. Fishermen cast their nets with hope, women sang as they ground yam, and children chased dragonflies through the tall grass. Among them lived a young girl named Adetutu, gentle as the dawn, silent as the dew. Her father had long returned to the dust, and her mother, weak from years of sickness, lay often beneath the shade of their raffia roof. Adetutu was poor, yet she carried a light in her eyes that poverty could not dim. Every morning she walked to the river with her clay pot balanced upon her head, her bare feet soft upon the earth. She spoke little, but when she smiled, it was as if the sun had found a reason to linger. One moonless night, when the air was still and the river wore a cloak of mist, Adetutu went again to fetch water. The path was quiet, only the frogs croaked and crickets told their stories. She knelt at the river's edge, her reflection trembling in the dark water. But then, a light, soft golden, floating slowly toward her from the heart of the river. It was a calabash, round and smooth, glowing from within as if 1,000 fireflies were trapped inside it. Adetutu reached out, trembling, and lifted it from the water. The glow dimmed, but did not fade. Curious, she held it close to her ear. At first, she heard nothing. Then, a whisper. A voice, gentle as a sigh, spoke, "Feed the hungry. Share your smile. Your kindness will open the sky." Adetutu gasped. She looked around, but there was no one, only the river's quiet breathing. She carried the calabash home, her heart thundering like the drums of a distant festival. At dawn, the village awoke to the smell of smoke and roasted maize. Adetutu sat beside her mother's mat, the calabash resting beside her like a sleeping child. When she peered inside, she found it empty, just hollow gourd walls. Perhaps it was a dream, she thought. Yet when she stepped outside, she saw an old woman struggling to lift her bundle of firewood. Without thinking, Adetutu ran to help. She carried the wood, smiled, and offered her last handful of roasted yam. That night, when she returned home, she found the calabash glowing faintly again. Inside it were cowries and grains of gold dust, shining softly like trapped sunlight. Tears filled her eyes. She used some to buy herbs for her mother and food for the hungry children who played barefoot in the dust. The next day, she helped another villager, and the next. And each time she showed kindness, the calabash filled itself again. Never too much, never too little, just enough to bring joy where sorrow had lingered. But word travels swiftly in small places. The tale of the girl with the talking calabash reached the ears of Chief Odu, the ruler of Iba. He was a man of power, heavy with rings and suspicion. "Bring the girl to me," he commanded. When Adetutu stood before him, barefoot and shy, the chief smiled thinly. "My daughter," he said, "surely such a treasure belongs to the village." "And I am the village." She shook her head gently. "The calabash gives only when I am kind, my lord." The chief laughed. "So it gives to you because you are kind. Then perhaps it will give more to me, for I am king." He snatched the calabash from her arms and ordered her out of his courtyard. That night he placed it before him in his great hut, filled with gold and oil lamps. He waited, he whispered, he demanded. But the calabash remained silent. Hours passed. The chief's voice rose. "Speak, foolish thing," he shouted, striking it with his staff. Then, a cold, sharp wind blew through his hut. The lamps flickered. The shadows grew. The calabash began to tremble, humming like a living heart. In his greed, the chief raised his hand and smashed it to the ground. The glow burst into darkness, and from the broken pieces rose a black mist, swirling and whispering like angry spirits. His treasures, his cowries, his gold turned to dust before his eyes. By morning, the once proud chief sat alone amid ashes, clutching only regret. When Adetutu heard what had happened, she ran to the riverbank, where she had first found the calabash. She fell to her knees and wept. The broken remains had been thrown there, scattered upon the shore. Her tears fell upon the shards, and the wind seemed to listen. The river rippled, though no hand touched it. A low hum rose from the water, deep, ancient, powerful, and then, from the depths, the spirit of the river emerged. She was neither woman nor mist, but something between both, her eyes calm as still water, her voice carrying the sound of rain. "Why do you weep, child of kindness?" the spirit asked. Adatutu bowed her head. "My heart aches for what was broken, not for gold, but for goodness lost." The spirit smiled. "The world turns dark when greed blinds the hearts of men. But your light remains." She lifted her hand, and the river shone like polished glass. From its heart rose a new calabash, radiant, alive, humming softly. The spirit placed it before Adatutu. "This one is not for wealth," she said, "but for healing. Its whispers will guide you where sorrow sleeps. Go, child, the river remembers your kindness." With that, the spirit faded back into the current, leaving Adatutu alone beneath a sky now filled with stars. The return of light from that day, Adatutu walked among her people with quiet strength. Where she went, peace followed. She used the new calabash to heal the sick, to comfort the mourning, and to bring water to dying lands. She never spoke of her gift again. Those who mocked her found kindness where they least expected. Those who envied her found their envy fade like smoke before dawn. Years passed. Her mother, healed and smiling once more, often sat beside her, listening to the soft hum that came from the calabash at night. And sometimes, when the moon was full and the village slept, Adatutu would walk to the riverbank, place the calabash upon the water, and whisper, "Thank you." The river would answer in ripples of silver light. So it was told, and so it remains. The people of Iba still speak of the girl who listened to the voice of kindness. They say that when the heart is pure, even a river can speak. They say blessings are shy things. They come only to the gentle and flee from the grasp of greed. In the end, Adatutu's name became a song sung by mothers to their children, and the whisper of the calabash became a proverb among the elders. He who listens with kindness will hear the voice of miracles.